Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Nadir bin Nasir, author of Muslims Parenting on Purpose, Volume 1. And alhamdulillah, I'm excited because today I get to share with you something that's very important to me. And that's really the problem with trial and error parenting. First of all, let me congratulate you because you're proactive. You're actually willing to do some things that many parents aren't willing to do, whether it be listening to audios, watching this video or other videos on parenting, or reading books on parenting. So that, number one, makes you proactive. All right. The challenge comes with those who are reactive. Okay. And what I call that is really the trial and error parent method. Okay. That's the method of no method. All right. So this is what I mean. Trial and error. And inshallah, you can read this. Trial and error method. Here's the challenge. In very few areas of our life is this the best way to go. Now, when we are babies and we're learning how to walk and eat and talk and stuff like that, trial and error. That's encouraged. They're going to get up, they're going to fall down again, do all the type of stuff. So, in some areas that's okay. But let me ask you a question. When you were in grade school, did you have a teacher, also as an instructor, giving you information, teaching you new concepts, whether it's letters or your parents taught you colors and shapes and all these different things and basic addition, 1 + 1 is 2? Of course you did, right? You had somebody mentor you, teach you, or tutor you, okay? Now, what do you have when it comes to being a parent? A lot of times we have advice. Oh, you should, for the first 7 years, you should just play with them. Or for the next 7, you should teach them. And then after that, there's lots of advice to go around. But one thing I'll let you know is there's no such thing as a cookie cutter when it comes to our children. Unless, of course, one of your children cuts cookies. Then that's a cookie cutter child. Okay? But there's no cookie cutter method for our children. But one method I know across the board that has shown no results and actually can borderline on what's called neglect is really the trial and error method. Okay, we're Muslims, so we have to look and find out what something is or what the rule for something is before we take action on it. So what I want to put here for the trial and error method, one of the reasons it's a challenge is because, in my opinion, it's neglectful. Can you imagine your child failing a test and you getting upset about them failing a test if they were not giving any books, not giving any assignment, not giving any type of instruction, right? That wouldn't make any sense. Now, of course, the child is older. They may be able to find out on their own or whatnot, but you'll be a little bit upset if someone tested them and they failed. But they weren't given any type of instruction, no deadline date, what to expect, no quizzes, no homework, nothing. Of course, you would naturally be that way. So why is it that many parents do this when it comes to their parenting? Well, I understand some of the logic and reasoning behind it, but I think it's faulty logic. And what I mean by that is this. Many parents think that, hey, I'm going to raise them like my parents raised me. Awful advice. Awful advice in general. Some areas of etiquettes or cultural norms may be just fine. That can be okay. But what I mean is think about when you were a child. How was the world back then? Now, let me go back to when I was a child. Well, microwaves are brand new. You would turn the knob and it would go ding, right? Television and color TV were there. Maybe about 4 or 5 main channels. VHF, UHF, no remote controls. All right? Then there was this thing called a VCR. It was huge. You would push down a big cartridge inside of it. Right? I just missed the era of the 8-track. My father, that was his generation, but we had cassette tapes before CDs. Right? Now this is just in the area of technology. All right? Computers. Now, there was a green screen with some letters and a keyboard that was attached, and it was really small and very expensive. How's all of that changed today? In order to make a video to send you today, during that time, oh my goodness, it would be so cost prohibitive that I wouldn't be able to do it. Now again, I'm speaking about technology, and one of the reasons is many parents, unfortunately, they disempower their children. They put them in a position of loss by giving them gadgets and different devices that they call smartphones, for example, when they aren't mature enough for it yet. trial and error method. Think about it. If you've worked a job before, imagine getting hired for a job but not getting any training on it and expecting to do well. What are the expectations laid by a boss or a supervisor or a company? What are the goals there? So trial and error is not going to work at the job because there's something tangible on the line. There's a bottom line. There's money involved, right? Well, subhanAllah, what do we think about our parenting and raising our children? When Allah Ta'ala tells us clearly in Quran, in translation, what could mean, save yourselves and your family from the fire whose fuel is men and stones. Right? So isn't that a command direct from Allah Ta'ala? What are we doing for our parenting? We must be proactive because neglectful, the trial and error method. Another thing is they're always working from behind. Working from behind. What I mean is behind. Ooh. Behind. Not be hid, but they're working from behind. And what I mean by that is, imagine you're in a race. Well, in the race, you're trailing, you're in last place. But you have high aspirations. You want to go ahead, you want to get first, right? Of course we want to get first. You want to finish best. We're not striving for 7 out of 8. No. But parents who do the trial and error method are working from behind. So they're surprised when something happens or comes up. They're disappointed. They're upset about some things, but no one's really there to blame but themselves. If your child has bad manners when they go out in public, it may be because at home they're not being taught correct manners. So chewing with their mouth closed, for example, saying Bismillah before you eat, eating with your right hand. Little simple things that we're taught at home. These simple etiquettes. So obviously we know people look at the parents, as they should, when something like that may be embarrassing in public. So working from behind, we don't want to work from behind. We want to be proactive. So we want our children to offer salat. First, we must be being that celebrity, so we have to offer salat. They'll imitate and copy us because we influence them. But as they get older and their brain develops more, they're creating more neural associations and so on, then they'll start questioning things to see if we're being congruent, if we're on the same wavelength. Are we growing? Are we learning as well? And no, their brains are not fully developed until they're about 25 years old. But that doesn't mean they don't have legitimate questions and concerns that we should be addressing and being proactive with. So, friendships, are you being proactive in that area? What's going on in school? Are the children in school where they have issues with teachers, parents? Who are the negative influences? What are the type of music that these children are listening to? You know, what's your relationship with your spouse? Are you arguing in front of the children? Do you disagree on certain things in front of the kids? Or do you hold together? Even if you disagree, you talk about it in private, away from the kids, not allowing them to cause any type of division. So trial and error method sucks. All right? And we're strong at being proactive. If you want to raise something up, even as small as a plant, there are certain rules that must be followed. If you're cultivating a garden, you still have to do the planting, the tilling, the de-weeding, or getting the weeds out, or whatever the term is. Because the weeds are going to grow automatically. They're going to try to choke the moisture from the water getting into soil that can feed the plants. But what are we doing to de-weed? See, when your children are on the internet or they have these smart devices, or you may have a television or a smart TV, or God forbid, they have one in their rooms. What do you say when they hear about different laws being passed, or the President of the United States endorsing homosexuality, this big gay rights thing, and now moving from saying father, mother on a U.S. passport application to saying parent one, parent two, whether that's father, father, or mother, mother? Are we surprised by that? No, we already know what's going on as Muslims. But how do we get it to the next generation? How do we help them understand it? We don't do it by being surprised by it and working from behind. So trial and error method is a sure way to pretty much end up with regret. Now, if you do all you can do, if you're pouring in education, love, a nurturing environment, answering questions and coaching and disciplining properly and having that balance, then subhanAllah, there's nothing left for you to complain about or for anybody to have anything against you should that child choose to do wrong. Because there's no guarantee that even with proactive parenting, and I'm being real transparent, there's no guarantee that the child is going to be on the right path. But we have to practice ihsan, or excellence, or being outstanding, right, as a parent. So we have to do all we can do to invest in our children to get that return. And how do I know? Prophet Nuh, alayhi salatu wassalam, for hundreds of years did da'wah to his family. And when the flood was finally coming, and most of his family disbelieved, didn't believe in him. But his son, he was trying to save his own son. Son still didn't believe in him. And when he cried out to Allah Ta'ala and said, Ya Allah, you said you would protect and save my family, Allah Ta'ala reminded him very quickly that he is not of your family. So despite all that da'wah, it's Allah Ta'ala who makes Muslims. This doesn't mean you wait and do nothing, you be neglectful. No. Prophet Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam was not neglectful. He still did da'wah. He still moved forward. He still spoke the truth. He still led by example. Same thing that we must do. So, not being neglectful, not working from behind, being proactive, that's where we need to be. That's why we work from our 3 3s framework. Okay, and I'll talk about it briefly, and maybe you heard it before, but we really work from it because it works and it's effective. Okay, there's not a very quick thing that's just going to fix parenting or fix kids or like a robot. Trust me, if there was, the manual would be plastered everywhere. Okay, there's not. But there are strategies and there are different tactics. And I'm using these words specifically. There are strategies and tactics that can help you become a better parent, that can help you extend your influence to your children, to work and help anchor them in Islam. So that they eventually, as they grow and they build and they become more and more independent, because they're just an amana to us. They don't belong to us. They belong to Allah. But Allah Ta'ala put our children in our care as an amana, as a trust. So for this short time that we have them, and they're fighting for independence, even since they were in the womb. We see the elbow going back and forth and the belly and knees and whatever moving about. They were trying to get out. And when they're crawling about, moving in, you can't just say, make a command and say something, they're going to listen. They're fighting for this independence. But it's our goal with love to properly engage them, equip them, and empower them so that when they reach that age of independence, they have a love for their Lord. And inshallah, we can have that return on investment. And what do I mean by that? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam let us know that 3 things follow us after we're gone. And one of those 3 things is a righteous child that prays for you. If your child is not righteous, it doesn't matter what they do. They can pray for you from morning till night. But it's a righteous child that prays for you. So we want you to raise successful children. Children that pray for you after you're gone, so that on that day on Yom Qiyamah, we'll be notified. Where did these blessings come from? We'll be in awe and surprised with it because of those righteous children that we raised. May Allah Ta'ala make it so for us and for you, make our children a coolness to our eyes, a warmth to our heart, and a means for Jannah. Ameen. Allahumma ameen. So, trial and error method, not good at all. Our 3 C's and 3 E's, I'll name it briefly in this video. One is obviously the celebrity. That's you. That's the role model. Okay? And dad is usually a star. I mean, that child, baby will look up to you. Child will look up to you. Your son will look up to you. Your daughter will look up to you. Well, mom is a superstar. We know that many times when they come to us for something, they just want to know where mom is. Where's Umi? Okay, mom is a superstar. She might not like to be the superstar, but she's a celebrity. And as a celebrity role, we have to be proactive. We have to practice what we preach. Okay? And then, of course, there's the confidant role, also known as the counselor. Well, the confidant is the one who helps our children read between the lines. So when someone is saying something against Islam, we're against Islamists, or whatever the terms they want to use that we don't even know, we're English-speaking people, we help them understand the psychology behind it. We remind them of how the Prophet ﷺ was attacked in his character and his nature, all of this stuff, during even the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Up till today, where they just utilize different methods to speak their animosity and their kufr against Islam. Then there's the coach. Hey, the coach cheerleads. The coach knows the game. He might not be a player anymore, But the coach knows the game. He knows the rules. She knows the rules. And we want to help our children succeed. So we cheerlead them, we discipline them. And let me just be clear, discipline is of two types. There's training discipline and there's corrective discipline. Training discipline is 90% where we are all the time. We're modeling, we're showing, we're teaching, we're telling them how to do these things. We want to make sure they get it right. Okay? It's just like the coach wants to make you do push-ups or do laps around there in order to get in physical shape, to eat right and everything else, right? It's like Islam. Islam is discipline. I know when the next prayer time comes in, I know I have to have tahara, make wudu, everything, need to do this for salat 5 times a day minimum. We know what we have to do during Ramadan. We know when it comes to Hajj, there's certain things we do. This is discipline. Then there's corrective discipline. Should they get out of line? They need some type of punishment, if you will. All right, punishment with love in order to get them back on the right track. So there's an end result that is needed for that, not punishment for the sake of punishment or humiliation. But we talk about the 6 stages of discipline in different videos, so I'm not going to go into that here, but there's training discipline and there's corrective discipline. So those are the 3 C's. Now with the 3 E's, we engage our children, whether it's speaking with them or having body language or touching, a hug and a kiss and telling them that we love them every single day or after every single salat that we pray together to rejuvenate them, the average salat recharge. So we engage our children. We keep that line of communication open. Then we'll also equip our children. How do we actually educate our children since it starts at home? What do we do for them Islamically? What is a curriculum that's really balanced for our children in their different stages of life? What are we teaching them when it comes to finances or when it comes to politics? When it comes to women's rights? When it comes to all these different societal issues that are going on? How do we have a balance there? And at the same time, how do I not lose my sanity as a parent? Because I'm more than a parent, okay? The child is somebody first. Then I think you have siblings, your brother or sister is somebody too. So you have this extended family. You want to have fun, have recreation to yourself. So we talk about that and deal with that, especially there. Then, of course, empowering. How to take that child that you've equipped and you've engaged and you've educated and put them out there into the world. Or not necessarily put them out there into the world, but as they get out into the world, they're able to handle different things that are coming at them because they've been properly empowered. So those are the 3 E's. And the different stages they go through is very simple. There's the very young stage to about 7 years old. That's stage 1. Stage 2, 8 years old to preteen. Stage 3, teenagers. Yep, I say that deeply for a reason. That's one of the most challenging stages. But these stages set up the different lifespan and life cycle that our children go through. So we want you to be proactive. We have a great framework, and inshallah ta'ala, you benefit from this video, and we'll share it with those whom you love or those people you know who may benefit. Again, I appreciate you, and just remember, we don't want you to be average. Average is nothing but the bottom of the top, in the top of the bottom. Okay? Be outstanding. With that, remember, a wish changes nothing, and a decision changes everything. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Outstanding Muslim Parent.com